Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And guys, I had to totally change my current events. I was going to cover something with Keno Booty today, but I literally got hundreds of people talking about Alex's bench press yesterday, and I actually was going to do a video on him later this week about a different video he made, but I wanted to wait a few days, so I didn't want to have too many videos about the same guy too close together, because I don't want to beat on a dead horse. But so many people came in that demanded me give my opinion on it, or who came in acting a fool or whatever. A lot of them I had to ban. I'm like, okay, so I guess this is the most current event on my radar for today, so I might as well cover it. So let me put on my +5 head of weaponsmithing, work on skill at my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And you guys can see I'm really kind of ambivalent about this one. I really am. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. But what I want to say on that, a bunch of his fanboys came in, and look guys, if people just linked to the video, or they said, hey Jason, he lifted this weight, or they were said, hey, cover it, talk about it, what do you think about it? I let their comments stay. If they came in saying stupid stuff, like he proved you wrong, because he didn't, and I'll get to that in a minute, or he's stronger than you, or you're stupid, all these things, you guys got banned, you're trolls. You got banned. It's real simple. You know, again, if you can't behave yourself in the comments, you don't get to stay. Pretty straightforward. You know, you can criticize someone or even question something they're saying reasonably politely. You don't have to suck their dick or anything, but you know, you can say, hey man, I want you to talk about this. Were you wrong? Could you cover this? Hey, I think you might be wrong on this topic, and here's why. Okay, that's cool. I'll never ban people for that, but I'll ban you for stupidity. Now, that being said, everyone says, oh, this is proof. Guys, what did I say last month? What did I say last month? I'm not accepting lifts because of all the fake lifts we've seen on YouTube. We've seen fake plates. We've seen fake lifts. We've seen trickery. I'm not accepting lifts from people that aren't on some sort of plates that we can at least verify they're real plates and probably close to real weight, right? I've said that. This is YouTube fitness. You guys can all afford this stuff, all right? I'm not accepting that, or where we can't see, you know, all the angles and everything. We've got to be reasonable. If someone claims they can lift a certain weight, we need a reasonable level of proof. And it wouldn't be that way if there hadn't been so many fakes on YouTube and Instagram this last year. There have been so many that it's reasonable to say that. That's one reason I invested my own money. I bought all these expensive rogue plates with a weight guarantee, and then I bought enough calibrated plates to do my upper body lifts with calibrated plates, competition legal calibrated plates. Because, you know, that's the burden of proof that we need. That's reasonable proof. It's reasonable proof, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. And the reason I say that's reasonable, all these guys can afford better. They can afford this stuff. I can afford it, and I think looking at his numbers, Alex probably makes more money than I do on YouTube. He's making at least 100 grand on YouTube. If he's not, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if he makes less than 100 grand on his commercials, not counting book sales. Now, I make less than 100 grand on YouTube a year. I used YouTube money to buy $5,500 worth of rogue stuff. That's what I threw into it. Just to train on camera, right? To train on camera. And so that we've got a little bit of authenticity with the weights, the quality weights, and it looks pretty. Gives people something nice to look at, because I'm not particularly nice to look at, right? That's reasonable. Now, my problem is potentially the place. Now, does that mean that he faked it? No. It doesn't mean that his lift wasn't legit. I want that to be clear. I'm not stating one way or another. I'm stating I just don't see reasonable evidence. And the reason I say that, this is a guy who I know can afford good plates. I know he can. Who has a history of faking lifts. He faked the standing press. It's provided, plenty of people covered why. We all covered that was a push press. He clipped it and edited it in such a way that we didn't even see half the lift. Couldn't see his legs hardly, any of that stuff. I mean, guys, that's called trickery. And then the double overhand grip Jefferson block pull. You know, that one created a lot of confusion. Even a lot of other people, Bugenhagen got confused, wasn't even sure what was going on. There's the point. A guy's creating confusion to show off book strength. And he's using this stuff to sell products, guys. When we talk about fakery on YouTube, you need to understand how much money's at stake. A lot of people don't know how much we're making in YouTube fitness. They'd be really surprised. I mean, guys would probably be shocked at what I make. They'd be shocked. Like, how does your channel? Your channel sucks. How do you make that much? I'm not going to get over what it is, but it's probably more than most people think. And I promise you guys, Alex is making six figures. I just can't envision that he's not. He makes daily videos with 150,000 subscribers. He's got to be making 100 grand. I just can't mathematically see how he's not. So there's a lot of money at stake, guys. There's reasons for people to do fakery and trickery. He's been caught doing it. As far as that Jefferson thing, we saw someone else came through and took a slightly bent bar and showed that they could pull 730 off the blocks with the bent bar. All right, guys. And then when he went to train with Omar, we got a better idea of his real strength. Now people are going to say, well, he held back. Dude, you don't hold back. The one time you're going to go train with other legit YouTubers where you're going to be seen on camera by hundreds of thousands of people and you're not going to put a decent effort into it, they're going to say like, well, you know, he did an RPE 7. No, he wouldn't have. Especially when he knew he was going to max in 8 or 9 days, 10 days, whatever apart. That's not how you peak to do a max, guys. You don't do an RPE 7 when you're right there with other people's stuff. And that was probably his 4 to 5 rep max. It really was. That doesn't translate to a 315 plus bench. It just doesn't. It's just not how it works. So that's one reason I would question that. Now, that's not absolute proof that it's fake. It makes it questionable. And the problem we've got is that he's faked these other lifts. He faked his grip strength. We saw again what happened, the difference between what he could do with a bent bar for a little short pull where there's less bar roll because the bar's not out in front of you, versus when he had to grip some stuff with Omar. He couldn't even remotely keep up with Omar on grip. Omar even kind of called him out on it. So we know there's some trickery there. We know there's some grip strength trickery. We know he's had trickery with other lifts. He promoted someone who turned out to be the biggest fake lifter we've seen in years on YouTube. Possibly on YouTube, the biggest fake lifter ever. Interviewed him, put him on his channel, fell for it. He's been associated with fake lifters. So that being said, that creates a questionable environment. That's it. It creates a questionable environment. Does that mean it's fake? No. It means it's questionable. It means that it's not reasonable proof. And here's the thing, guys. He lives in Montreal. I found out from other people in the comments. I thought he lived in Ontario. I went and looked at Ontario meets. I'm like, there's a meet coming up later this month. He could set the provincial record. Well, I went and looked. He's a junior, right? He's a junior. We know he's, what, about 21, 22? Might be 23. I think he's 22. All right. He's a junior in powerlifting. He doesn't compete in the open yet. There's a meet later this week. IPF affiliate in Quebec is in his city in 5 days, 4 days now. They still have enrollment. It's an open meet. You don't have to qualify. You just have to pay for your membership, pay for the meet, show up and compete. It's in his city. If the guy can legitimately lift what he claims he can lift at what he claims he could weigh, he could walk into that meet and break the Quebec record. The IPF affiliate in Quebec, his weight class, if he truly weighs less than 165, because we don't know what he weighs. If he weighs less than 165 and he can bench over 308 pounds, he could walk in and break the record for Quebec. The drug-tested record for Quebec. In other words, he could walk in, spend maybe $100. He's making 100 grand a year on YouTube. Spend $100, have a certified lift, and get an award stating Alexander Leonidas, Quebec bench press record holder. This week, he could have it by the end of the month, could have that certificate. He could hold it up and say, see guys, my lifts are legit. So that's what I would say to his fanboys who are coming in. They're saying, oh, he did this, it's proof, whatever. Guys, he could just go do this meet. And you know what? They hold several a year. There are several a year. And I'm not a big fan of bench only. I don't consider bench press only powerlifting. So you can't say I'm not a powerlifter. Yeah, you're not a powerlifter if you do bench only, unless you're doing the para class because you're missing a leg or something. I'll accept that. But no, you're not a real power lifter if all you do is bench press. So you don't have to be a real power lifter to go set the record. They do bench only. It's one of the lifts that has bench only. It's a single lift events with its own set of records. Well, the record right now for his alleged weight class in his age bracket is 308 pounds, or is it 309, something like that. So in other words, he walks in and benches 310, 20 pounds less than he claims his plates weigh. He could set the drug tested record. And because it's a regional, they probably won't test him. They probably won't test him. But that's the other thing I would say to people. Just like people need to have certain weights to them, I don't want to hear anyone claim natty. I ignore it. Anyone who claims that they are natural, who is not enrolled in some sort of WADA off-season drug testing, I don't want to hear their natural claims. And I'm not saying drug tests can't be cheated, but I ignore it. I don't consider them natty, like in the sense of people say, well, this person did this natty. Did they? Okay. Because they claim natty. Ronnie Coleman can claim natty. He's never failed a drug test. He's never been given a drug test either, has he? So, you see how that works, guys? It's just a claim. It's a claim without proof. And that's fine. People can claim things without proof. There's nothing wrong with that. You just can't expect people to believe you, right? And I don't do that anymore. I mean, if I've made claims or whatever and people don't believe me, I can't expect them to believe me if I don't prove it. That's fair. That's fair. I can't get mad at that. So that's the point. We don't know what he really weighs. We don't know that he's natty. We don't know what he can really bench. All right, he could walk in and prove it. It's that simple. He could get a big old plaque with his name on it and a record holder and be done with it, and then he could shut people up. But benching at home with crappy plates that we don't really know what they weigh, we don't really know what your body weight is, any of that stuff, people shouldn't be running around saying this person is stronger than other people or whatever, guys. It's not how it works. That's not a reasonable level of proof. And it's that simple. And it's not saying he can't do it. He very well might be able to. I am extremely skeptical. But it doesn't mean that my skepticism is right. But what people need to understand, given his history of fake lifts and trickery to kind of sell products and to make money, why should anyone believe it? Why should anyone believe it? There's no reason to think so. He could have made those plates out of styrofoam and painted them himself for all we know. We don't know how much weight was on the bar. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe his plates are so cheap that he doesn't even know what they weigh. He doesn't even if he used real plates, that 330 might have been 315. It might be 350. Those are some cheap ass plates. They could be off 10%. We don't know. He doesn't know. So either buy some legit plates or go to a meet. Cost him $100. It's within driving distance. They're having one this weekend. Go in and prove it. Break a record. Break a record. Why wouldn't you? If you can do it and it's right there in your city and it's within your ability to break a record on one lift, why wouldn't you? Unless you can't do it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.